Good.
Career made it.
All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to graduation, the first one of 2019 on the next day side. For those that don't know the facilitators, my name is Melvin Lewis, and we're represented by Rashida Walker, Laura Morris, and Dave Dobb. So what we're going to do today is celebrate our future leaders that we have at UPS, future partners. What we're going to do is try to go around the room, because we do this at every graduation, and show our future partners the support that we have around the room. So please tell us your name, the area you cover, and also how many years you've put in at UPS to gain that experience. And we'll start with Rob Steinberg.
I've been here 21 years, and I'm in import. Next David.
Miles Eichelback, Ramp 6, North Marshalling, 18 years.
Rod Thornton, Ramp 6, 17 years.
Jackie Burrows, HWP International, 14 years.
Joe Estner, Freight Facility Fly Mods, 14 years.
Larry Stewart, Port Freight Facility, 14 years.
Kim Klein, 32 years, freight facility, sort control, ops improvement, international and training.
Jim Titus, Freight Trucks, 34 years.
Cameron Nine, Gray Lane Shed, 19 years.
Casey Adams, Ray Lake Shed, 10 years.
Kevin Stone, 26 years, Great Lane Ship, Polish Small Store.
Howie Mayfield, 34 years, Great Lane Ship.
Mike Armit, years and 11 ran. Small sort, outbound, 34 years.
David Delp, Wing Division, 32 years.
Mike Lee, Great Lane, 36. Gary Rex's Wing A, 20 years. Bob Whitaker, Core, 36 years. I'm sorry, 36 years. My God.
Rob Tishy, Aircraft Control Support, IT, 29 years.
Mike Vaughn, Gray Lane, 17 years.
Jessica Ellis, Wing B Ramp, 19 years. Tyler Sawville, Wing B Ramp, 8 years.
Justin Harris, Wing B rank, 6 years.
Charlie Jackson, the Outbound, 20 years.
Andy Heffinger, Wing C, 36 years.
Sam Brandon, UBO, 20 years.
Mike Armit, Wing B, 26 years.
John McSwain, 19 years, Wing Echo.
Scott Minogue, Small Sort Outbound, 32 years. Tyler Burton, Small Sort Outbound, 15 years. Ryan Harden, Wing D, 29 years.
Tiffany Rhines, Windy Outbound, 19 years.
Corinne Pearl, Windy Outbound, 5.
John Martin, IT Business Continuity, 33 years.
Aaron Contrado, load planning, 9 years. Amber Stone, load planning, 10 years.
Tim Smith, South 4, 15 years.
Keela Elders, customer service, 22 years.
Jim Sirota, the Core, 31 years.
So as you can see, we have hundreds of years of experience for you guys to fall back on. So there shouldn't be a question or a problem that you run into that you can't go find some help, or that your management team can't network with. Because I'll tell you what, I've been here 31 years, and I've networked with everybody in this room one way or another and got help from someone in this room. So the class, we started off with novices at this company. We had people that didn't know what a droop snoop was, a power turn, ramp positions. And then we, over the last 13 days, we turned it into people understanding the integration with SCS, how freight drives our bottom line, how engagement with their people is the most important factor. Because engagement drives everything, safety, cost, you name it. And the other thing is, we talked about opportunities. And we traveled and saw all that. You see all these, there's a couple guys said they've been here 36 years, they've really been here like 100 years. They've been here forever, but they're gonna leave here soon. They're gonna leave, and we need future leaders like yourself to take their place. We talked about that a lot, almost every day. So don't take this for granted. This is a special day. The rest of your life now is what you make of it. And in the class, we had some troubled times, we had some good times, we had some learning times. You guys, one word, inquisitive. You asked every question there was to be asked. One of the first classes I seen that. I actually got in trouble because we went over 8 hours one night because every presenter had a question and we went over time. But that's good. That means now the management team around the room knows what they're getting. They're getting people that are hungry and thirsty for information. and that's good. And I challenge your management teams to push you guys, because you did want to know and you wanted to learn. So with that, we're gonna start the video and show some of the interactions that we had in class. That'll be fun.
I understood loneliness before I knew what it was. Saw the pills on the table for your unrequited love. I would be nothing without you holding me up. Now I'm strong enough for both of us. Stand up on my shoulders, tell me what you see. I am a giant. We'll be breaking boulders underneath our feet. I am the future. I am the future.
We're not sure. You're telling me what's going on, man. I'm not good, I am. All right, let's go. Get good. Let's go.
We are center of attention, and we are the future of UPS.
Underneath our feet, I am the giant. Gonna shake, roll away in the dirt under me, yeah. Gonna shake, roll away in the dirt under me, yeah. I am the future. Gonna shake, roll away. Gonna shake, roll away in the dirt. We are the future!
As you can see, we had some fun, but we also put in some long hours and hard work. We had some folks who were like, man, are we ever going to get out of this classroom? But we did, and you guys earned this graduation. You earned the awards that you got. So it gives me good pleasure to introduce to you now, Rashida.
All right, so we are going to announce the winners of all the competitions that we had. But before that, I would just like to say that this has been an honor to be in the classroom with you all. I attended the first FSTS here in 1999, and it has come a long way, let me tell you. So I want to thank Dave and Melvin and Laura for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. First off, winner of the Knowledge Bee, Josh Moody from the Next Day Green Lane Shield. The winner of the team competition was the Infinity Stones. That is comprised of Braden Martin.
Y'all can stand up when she calls your name.
Braden Martin from the Next Day Air Ramp 6. Frank Ballou, 1DA PSC Customer Service. Robert Andrew Tishy, 1DA Wing C Ramp. Jaron Scroggins, 1DA Wing D Outbounds. Logan Bryant, Next Day South Core Unload. Next, we're gonna have the Legacy Speaker. She was voted Legacy Speaker from her classmates, very deserving. That would be Hannah Thompson from 1DA Worldport Freight Facility.
First, I want to take a second to thank all of our management folks out here for coming to help us celebrate. This is a big accomplishment, a big stepping stone in our careers here, so thank you all for taking time to help us celebrate and teach us to hopefully be in your all's positions one day. So when it came time to choosing a legacy, I wanted to find something that was something we could all value collectively as a group. So I chose something that deals with our people and the policies. Just also remember, this is from the plant conference of 1945, so it's a little outdated. So there is no need to go into all of our policies separately. You can find them clearly stated in our policy book. It is enough to say with respect to the origin and development of those policies that we have picked up common sense ideas from whatever sources we could and have tried to reduce those ideas to simple basic policies if we thought them good. Now, what would be the good of these policies without people? From the early days of the business, it has been a policy of the company to take an honest and sincere interest in the people of our organization. Getting the right people for executive positions, people who could understand and carry out the policies of the company, has been more difficult than to arrive at the policies themselves. Some definite principles with respect to the selection of our people were adopted long, long ago. We adopted the policy of impartiality, which means that everybody in the business is to be treated equally. Everybody is to have an equal opportunity. It means that one person is on par with all others, where a person can advance only because of more capability than others. We adopted the practice not to employ friends, and we adopted the practice not to employ relatives. It is true that we have made some very noticeable exceptions in that regard. We realized that if we brought outsiders in, there would be no opportunities for people already in the business. We saw, too, that we had to build people. We realized that we didn't know very much ourselves, and that if we were to succeed, we must have others' ability to help us. And the only way that we could be sure that we knew what a person was capable of was to work along with that individual and see strong points, as well as weak ones. Another good reason why it became advisable to select managers from the ranks. In that way, we could better judge a person's ability to advance. Through these experiences, we learned how to get along with people, learned how to make them our friends. We gave them an opportunity to become stockholders, to share in what we had been accomplished in, and what we hoped to accomplish from then on. Thus, it was step by step, from city to city, from Seattle first to Detroit latest, but not last. So I want to follow up a quote that Jason Foote gave us yesterday. He was actually given this from one of his managers when he was in the Manhattan office. And it also touches on people. So it goes, "The future of this building and of our service is really the future of people working together to render something of value to each customer and to build better tomorrows for themselves." So if you think about it, we really are a service company. We, not like a restaurant, but we do service people. But before our service, this company also puts their people first. And you never see that in any other company. But you have to think, we started out with 4 people, 5 if you want to include Claude Ryan, debatable. But now we're up to, I think the latest statistic I saw was 450,000 employees internationally. 4 to 400,000. And you only get that way by focusing on people. There's a reason that we have so many people that want to stay and advance their career here at UPS. So another thing I want to touch on with that is the fact that the equality part that they put in there. We are all really equal, no matter about pay grade, salary, non-salary, hourly, union, you put it. Without this company, we're all a big piece of the puzzle. So you might think, without this person, we'd be fine. But if you think about it, if that person was not here, you'd have to do their job. if a person's under you, they're really not under you, they're working with you. I think that's a new policy we've all adopted, to saying we work with somebody versus under. So in closing, I guess, just think about the way this company was founded was to focus on their own, on taking care of your own before others. We have lasted 112 years because of this policy, and I think we'll last another 112 plus years because our main focus before service is the people. You have to take care of your own first. We are all kind of a family, in a way. Thank you.
Next, we'll pass out the certificates and individual awards.
So first up, Mitchell Kale.
So, I'm Mitchell Kale, I work in Wing D outbound underneath David Delph, Eric Haycraft, and Tiffany Rhines. What I'm choosing to take back from FSTS is the communication and motivational skills that went over to not only be a better leader for my people, but help them take that next step, be the best person they can be, and become a leader themselves.
This next person had a perfect PCM, had a perfect test score, and was the Knowledge B winner, Josh Moody.
Hi everybody, I'm Josh Moody. I currently work for Next Day Great Lane Shift. Management team I work with is Steve Merchant, Kevin Stone, and Otway Mayfield. We learned a lot in this class, and one of the things I want to take with me back into the store is developing myself so I can further develop my people.
This next suit had a perfect PCM, Mitchell Allen Young.
Hi, thank you for having our management team here. My name is Mitchell Young. I work in South Core import area with Rob Steinberger. And first, I would like to also work with Jeff Sirota. He's new with me, so I'm kind of getting the hang of that. Also, Mike Sowers is also part of my management team. So what I want to take back from FSTS is basically learning how to engage with my employees, learning to value more relationships, and that making it a part of my everyday life to get to know them as well as them get to know me.
The next suit had a perfect PCM, Lucas Oaks.
Hi, I'm Lucas Oaks. I come from the Great Lane Outbound. I work with Jeff Sirota, Mike Lee, and Mike Vaughn. I'm going to take back with me the idea of never being okay with good enough. I'm going to push myself, my people, and my peers to be the best that they can be. As to lead people to success, you yourself must be on the path.
The next suit had a perfect PCM and a perfect test score, Lewis.
My name is Lewis Jones. I work in Great Lane Shift. My management team is Steve Merchant, Kevin Stone, and Amber Nunn. One thing I'll be taking back from FSTS is a clear defined line between becoming friends with my people and extending trust towards them. Before it was difficult for me because I had a very hard rule not to become friends with my people, which in turn made it harder, of course, to extend that trust. But at the end of the day, the thing that defines that line is accountability.
Next up we have Mac Mason.
Hey guys, my name is Mac Mason. I work on Next Day Export. My management team is Jeff Sirota. My bad, Jeff Sirota. I know you knew, man. Mike Sowers. One thing I'm taking from FSTS is health and safety. I want to make sure all my workers stay safe and healthy while I'm here as their manager or their supervisor.
This next suit had a perfect test score and a perfect PCM. Michael Stafford.
My name is Michael Stafford. I work in Small Sword Secondary. My management team is Jeff Sirota, Mike Armett, and Tyler Burton. One thing I want to take back from me with class is the importance of documentation with your employees, and not just like the negative things like a missed tag or something like that, but if I see them improving in an area where they previously struggled, I want to make sure I acknowledge them for that and document it with them.
This next suit had a perfect PCM and a perfect test score. Matthew Ballard.
My name is Matt Ballard. I work in Small Sword Secondary with Jeff Sirota, Mike Armett, and Scott Minot. What I want to take back to the sword is basically always continue to strive to be the best I can for not only myself, but for my people and for my management team.
This next supervisor was one of the people on the team that won, Logan Bryant.
My name is Logan Bryant. I work in the South Core Unload. My management team I work with is Jeff Sirota, Bob Wood, and Tim Smith. And one thing I'm going to take back to the sword with me from FSTS is being a better leader, learning to hold everybody accountable, and adapting to different environments.
Next supervisor had a perfect PCM, Sydney McCallie.
My name is Sydney McCauley. I currently work in Wing C Unload. I work with Dave Delft, Andy Hupfinger, and William Riley, and what I plan to take back from FSTS is how to become a better leader and how to inspire my other employees to become a leader. Thank you.
This next supervisor had a perfect PCM, Alyssa Helm.
I'm Alyssa Helm. I work in Wing D Outbound. For Dave Delft, previously under Mary Kay, is now Mike Perkins. Previously under Tyler Sawbell, now is Tim Rand. What I plan to take back with me is basically poor people relationships will be ineffective as a supervisor or management team. So basically I want to learn how to work with my employees to not only better myself as a supervisor, but also better my employees so that way maybe one day they can fill my shoes or possibly fill your guys' shoes.
Next supervisor, Lauren Welch.
Hello, I'm Lauren Welch. I work in the Wing Alpha Outbound with Dave Delft, Jeremy Retches, and Jason Kendall. And from FSTS, I will take back a broader perspective of the operation and what all the EPS has to offer, as well as the knowledge to help build better relationships and the importance of developing myself and my people around me.
Alexis.
Okay. Hi, my name's Alexis Ing. I come from Load Planning. I work with Mike Peterspill, Dorian Young, and Jeremiah Hargrove. One of the most important things I took back from FSTS was to learn how to be a leader, how to lead with integrity, and how to build relationships.
August got a perfect test score.
is August Lehman. I work on the Wing Bravo ramp. I currently work with Dave Delph, Mike Perkins, Tyler Sawville, and Justin Harris. I'd also like to give a special shout out to Tim Rand. I've worked with him almost 2.5 years, and he's definitely someone that I look up to greatly. What I'm going to take away from FSTS is that achievement is the single greatest motivator for our people. Not only how to instill a sense of achievement in our people, but also how to highlight that achievement, not only when things go bad, but when things go good, both as an individual and as a group. Thank you.
Al got a perfect PCM and a perfect test score.
Hi, my name is Al Schultz. I work in Wing B outbound with Dave Delph, Mike Perkins, and Carly Chaffin. The most important thing I'm going to take back with me from Hub School is the knowledge, skill, and drive to help every area I work in and every person I work with run to its best ability.
Caitlin got a perfect test score.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Rocky. I work in the Wing Delta outbound. The management team I work with is Dave Delph, Eric Haycraft, and then previously under Brian Overall and now with Tiffany Rines. What I'm taking back from FSTS is servant leadership and just building better relationships with my people.
Frank got a perfect PCM, perfect test score, and he was part of the winning competition team.
Hi, my name is Frank Blue. I work in customer service, or PSC as most people know it. The management team I work for is Tad Dowdy, Kathy Cottrell, Donna Modi, and Keela Elders. Sorry. One thing I want to bring back from FSTS is how to motivate my employees. Just make sure to recognize them for everything that they not only do for me and our department, but everything that they do for the company as a whole, and just make sure to instill that sense of achievement within them.
Braden got a perfect test score and was part of the winning competition team.
Hi, my name is Braden Martin. I work on Ramp 6 with Steve Merchant, Lou Wimmer, Rod Thornton, and Miles Eichelbach. And one thing I'm going to take away from FSTS is the importance of teamwork with my coworkers and my employees so we can achieve our goals together, not only as an individual area, but as a company.
Robert got a perfect PCM, perfect test score, and also part of the winning competition team.
I'm Robert Tishy. I work for Wing C Ramp under Dave Delph, Andy Hepfinger, and David Cooper. What I took from FSTS is that always everybody brings something to the table, strengths or weaknesses, and it's my job to lead those people to one common goal when I get back to the ramp.
Jaron, perfect PCM, perfect test score, and also part of the winning competition team.
Hi, my name is Jaron Scoggins. I work in Wing Delta on the outbound. Management team I work with is David Delph, Eric Haycraft, previously Jess Combs, and now I work with Corinne Farrell and Brian Harden. The most important thing I'm taking away from FSTS is becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable. I mean, right now, talking in front of all you all, I'm still uncomfortable, but I'm gonna have more exposure to that because I know for one thing, I'll learn something new where I'll get better at it. Thank you.
Jared got a perfect test score.
Good evening. My name's Jared Chappell.
work at Worldport Freight Facility with Nancy Bottoms, Joe Elsner, and Jim White. Honorable mention to Steve Minot for promoting me out of small sort. What I plan to take back is the...
It's Scott Minot, that's why.
Scott Minot. I only knew you for like 3 months, so I apologize.
It's all right.
What I plan to take back from FSTS is the drive to success and the initiative that I've seen in this class and in Melvin and with all of the speakers. Don't think I could continue at UPS without experiencing that. So thank you.
Wes. Wes got a perfect test score. Sorry about that.
That's not right, is it?
Hi everybody, my name is Wes Effington. I work on the Wing Delta ramp with Dave Delf, Eric Haycraft, and previously Tiffany Rhines, but currently Jason Kendall and Jess Kellums. What I learned in FSTS that I want to take back to the operation is a positive attitude. I learned that if I express a positive attitude throughout the night, that not only can I help myself and my employees, but I can help my peers to be the best that they can be and give them a sense of pride throughout the work. In their work, sorry.
Lowen got a perfect PCM and a perfect test score.
Hello, my name is Lowen Abdulbaki. I work with in the Worldport Freight Facility with Nancy Bottoms, Kim Klein, Jacqueline Burrows. One thing that I will take back from FSTS with me is trust and the 3 components of trust, which is caring, credibility, and competence.
Ivy got a perfect test, a perfect PCM.
Hi, I'm Ivy Buck. I work in the grade lane shift under Steve Merchant, Kevin Stone, and Stacy Adams. What I'm taking away from FSTS is success. I want to strive to be successful, but also success isn't just what you have accomplished in your life, it's what you inspire others to do. And I want to inspire my employees to become where everyone is today.
Last, Hannah. She got a perfect test score. She was a legacy speaker.
Hi, my name's Hannah Thompson. I currently work in the Worldport Freight Facility. The management team I work with is Nancy Bottoms, Jim Titus, and Larry Stewart over there. The most impactful thing that I have learned from this course was the ideal of servant leadership, and that the best way to lead people is by serving them.
And for our close, we have, it gives me good pleasure to introduce to you all, everybody knows him, Jeff Sirota. Let's welcome Jeff Sirota.
So first of all, a couple things, I guess. One, this is probably not going to be as enthusiastic as Eddie's presentation with you guys. I noticed on the video. And then secondly, I noticed that there was not a whole lot of clap. There's a lot of clapping maybe here at the table, but not behind, because everybody on the outside here knows me really well, and they're to Melvin's point earlier, they're wondering, are we ever going to get out of this room? So, especially considering I got some props, but I won't be taking questions. So anyway, so a couple things. I first of all, I'll say congratulations. Secondly, I want to cover, I guess, a couple of items pertaining to the class. You guys referenced it a lot throughout this, and hopefully I can drive home for you what I believe, and I think what a lot of folks in this room believe is the most important thing that you guys should focus on moving forward, that we all should focus on moving forward. So first of all, you know, and back to the congratulations piece, this is a pretty lengthy class. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot that was reviewed over the last couple of weeks. This is a big investment, certainly a big investment that the company, I think, takes a lot of pride in, and certainly puts a lot of importance in. one thing I did learn, you guys are talking about, what we learned and those things, is that making management moves at the beginning of the year wreaks havoc on the reviews, because they're always, at the end there. But one thing I'll get back to it a little bit later. The thing that I did like, and I hope that the reason that you were doing that is because there was a connection there. Several of you referenced your previous management team, and I hope that is because there's a connection there. A couple of you even went on to say a little bit further that there was a connection, and I'll touch on that a little bit later, I guess, as I get through this. But there's just a few things. And first of all, I said I was going to give you what I thought was the most important thing, and it's really not something I dreamt up. It comes straight from our founder, and a couple of the props that I brought. You guys are familiar with this book, right? You spent a little bit of time with it. And throughout this book, there's a lot of references from Jim Casey and the things that I think that he talks about. But I think the thing that you'll come out of this, if you had to pick one theme from this about Jim Casey, and that is, I think you would find, and I think we'd all agree, at least the numbers would say, that what he referenced the most, and probably the thing that he put in front of everything else, was people, right? People relationships. So I think that's important. At the back of the book, there are a lot of testimonials. There's folks who knew Jim and worked with Jim, had experiences with Jim, and one of them talks about a time period where we were going through a lot of growth and a lot of expansion with operations. And if you've been around UPS at all, you know that we can get pretty deep into analyzing stuff and being constructively dissatisfied and critical, all for good reasons, I think, and certainly for good purpose. But we can get hung up in our day-to-day activities and the operational items that we're focusing on. And one thing we're all also very good at, and we're still very good at that, is conference calls. And they talk about being on conference calls and reviewing the day's results and talking about the things that we needed to improve on, all the things. And they said that what Jim asked every single time on every single call, the very first thing was, who's taking care of our people? So I think, and the person who gave the testimonial goes on to talk about, and we had some discussions about this in some other classes that I've been in, but they go on to talk about, just how that resonated with the group at the time. Certainly his influence was, I think it did ground them every time that they heard that from Jim, is that, look, we've got to make sure that we stay focused on our people. So that's what I'm going to talk about here for at least a few minutes, and we will, I promise not to keep it too long. All right. So anyway, so there's a couple of things. There's another book I think that you guys talked about, right? You guys are still using this one? Some, maybe, or at least you're familiar with it, the servant leadership. And I promise Hannah didn't steal my notes there, but there's a theme in the book, and certainly I think that's what we're hoping that we're going to get out of this class, that you guys are going to get out of this class, and that is the difference between managing and leading. I think probably had discussions about that, or may have even talked about it as a class in some of the items that you talked about. There's a few of you that in what you're going to take back, you talked about that. And the thing that I thought was pretty impactful was a pretty simple message, but management is what we do, but leadership is who we are. And I think it goes back to the things that we talked about earlier about those of you who said you hope you're going to have, you're going to inspire, you're going to influence. You talked about folks who have influenced you. Hopefully you stay grounded and focused on that at the end of the day, regardless of what it is that we're trying to accomplish from day to day, the most important thing is the influence that you're having on people, good or bad. And there's certainly a very strong need in our organization, and probably every organization right now, for leaders and people who are not just managing, but leading. And I'll go on, it's not in the notes, but somebody referenced it, I don't remember which one you said, well, I think it was, you were talking about the difference between, being a friend and I hope that you didn't take away from that or that somehow in this class you got the impression that it's not okay to be their friend. Because what I would suggest to you that it is, I would say that if you really think deeply about it, and I can tell you in my case, my best friend, when I think about that, if everybody in here was to reflect on that for a second, my best friend is probably the best person that I know of at holding me accountable. So if sometimes we confuse that. So when we talked about a few years back retention, and we talked to some folks about new hires and some folks who've been around a while, and there was a common theme that came out of it, and the common theme I think was that, and this is probably human nature, that when folks came here, it's a big place, and probably the toughest thing they had, and the thing that maybe made it the most difficult for them to transition into this, was finding friends, right? Getting to know people, especially if you come in and you don't know anybody. So why not that person be you guys, right? The folks that are supposed to be, back to what Jim was saying, looking out for our folks, and that's what we're hoping you're going to be doing, is looking out for our folks. So when that question is asked on a conference call, we know who's got them. You guys do, okay? So there's a couple things. We say, that's easy to say that. So, what are some of the important things? You guys touched on a lot of them. And I'll talk about a few of them, I guess, that I believe are important as well. Number one, I think, is trust. If you're going to connect with somebody, if you're going to really, truly, deeply be in a position where you're going to influence folks, certainly there has to be trust. That's with any relationship, right? And I think, one of the items that we talked about, and I've got a list here of, it's called the 10 Commandments of Truly Human Leadership. One of the items on here says, act accordingly. So trust is the foundation of relationships, act accordingly. So I think in everything that you're doing each day, I think it's important for all of us to reflect on that if you're going to be in a leadership position. The folks that are in your areas and working with us, they're watching what we're doing, and they're coming in, and they will follow our lead. They will, I think, certainly respond to that if in fact they can trust us. I think the other thing that's important is certainly the respect piece, and that starts to get where we get into the whole, when you get to talk about a really true friend, respect the fact that that true friend can hold me accountable or tell me when I'm screwed up and I need to change something. That's where the respect piece comes in. If it's always just telling them, what they're good at, which I believe is important, and I'll touch on in a second, then, at the end of the day, the respect piece and eventually the trust piece goes out the window. So it's very important that, when you need to be honest with folks, you're very honest with them. And it brings me to the next point, and it's another quote, Jim Casey quote. We'll get into it, or I won't get into the specifics. We'll get the book out and read it. But in essence, what it says is that if our folks and your folks, the people that we're working with, if they believe and understand that where you're coming from comes from an honest, from a caring position, then they're going to understand. When you tell them, look, we got an attendance problem, or we really got to fix this low quality thing, whatever it is, you're going to be in a better position to gain their trust and respect, and ultimately, I think, inspire them to make changes. Okay, so I think that's important. And then finally, we have to be somebody they can count on. And I could talk about that for a while, but from my perspective, what that means is that, and if you really think about it, another item in here, I think it helps to some point. On this 10 Commandments of Truly Human Leadership, says, recognize and flex to the uniqueness of everyone. This is a big place, a very, very diverse place. There's a lot of people coming from a lot of places, and I don't know if you ever heard the saying, "Be kind," because you don't know what people are going through. You really don't. Well, you guys, if you've been in a management position at all, here or anywhere, you know that from day to day, you're going to come in and some folks are going to have a rough day, and some folks make the day even rougher for the folks around them. And oftentimes, if you sit back and look, the group responds to that. And what I'm going to suggest to you is that if you really are going to build a foundation of trust and respect, not just with individuals, but with groups of people, they're all going to look at how you respond to that and how you're able to bring the group together and how you're able to influence that person. And if you're doing that in a positive manner, what I would suggest is be careful not to get frustrated. It'll be easy to do that. There's going to be a lot of things going on. The belt's blowing up, whatever it is. You got planes to load, crazy, full-time management people are driving around a ramp wanting to know where you're on the load and why we're not done and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I think if you can find a way to bring everyone coming from every different place, and certainly in the different challenges and that they're experiencing in their life, if you can find a way to bring that group together as well, not just connect with the individual, I really think that's what's going to make you and certainly hopefully us as an organization a special place and special leadership team for our folks to be a part of. Okay, so and really to kind of wrap things up, I would say there's a couple things that you could probably look at to gauge how we're doing. I know that if you talk to our district manager right now, Joe Boyle, he's going to tell you that one of the things that he values significantly is relationships, and he's got a few gauges for how that's going. I mean, he doesn't get to come in and visit with us very often. He's not able to see us, from day to day, but from that, whatever it is, 10,000 foot view, there's a couple of things that he's looking at. And what I would suggest to all you guys is we all do the same thing. Constructively with ourselves, not in a negative way, but look at a couple things. One is our retention. How well do we do at retaining folks? And I know for those of you who have worked with me in the past, we've had some discussions about this. And I think the first thing that a lot of times we get caught up in when something like that's brought to us, right? If you say, well, wait a minute, he said my retention's bad, I'm not a good leader, we get defensive. We start thinking about all the reasons. Well, gosh, the new hires I'm getting, they got all kinds of problems. They didn't want to be here to begin with. They were interviewing for full-time jobs. What I can tell you is I also, unfortunately there's not as many of these, but I can also tell you of several cases where folks gave us testimonials that when they came here, they had no intention of staying, but the person that they were working with at the time connected with them, and they said, I'm staying. We had folks who were on football scholarships that decided to stay here at UPS and do Metro College instead because it was a better deal at the end of the day for them. That's what they felt like. And what I believe is the case is the person who they were working with at the time certainly had influence on that. So it is possible to make a difference. And what I would ask you to do is use that as a barometer. I'm not saying in the last 2 years we've turned over 3,300 people. And some of that is going to happen. People are going to graduate and they're going to get jobs. But 3,300 people we've turned over in the last couple of years. There is opportunity for us to connect and influence. We also have, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I can tell you it's not where you'd like it to be. When you think about our Metro College program, we've got a lot of open slots, and throughout the years we've had a lot of people roll through that program. Somebody asked a few months ago, when you think of colleges and the things that, whether it's a sports program, the college itself, they talk about graduation rates. If you're, some folks maybe on the outer wall, they're sending kids to college. If you're certainly going to college, one of the things that you might be looking at are those type of statistics, right? Is the college good at, are they going to take care of my child? Am I going to get something out of this? Especially considering how much it costs nowadays. Well, somebody asked the question a couple months ago, what's the graduation rate of our Metro College program? And I don't know the answer to that, but I can tell you it's not where we'd like for it to be. And part of that, again, I believe is an opportunity. If we can get folks to stick around here, I think you guys all know it's a great program, it's a wonderful thing. If we can influence them in a manner to where they're going to stick through that program, we can help them through that program, that's certainly going to have an influence. So retention would be an item that I would say kind of uses a barometer. The second one's going to be safety. And I don't want to turn this into a safety meeting by any stretch of imagination, but I'm just going to submit to you, this is another great barometer. In the last 2 years on the next day sort, we've injured 960 employees, recordable injuries. There's probably more that don't make it onto the report that are non-recordable. And certainly, the worst case scenario would be, again, for those of you who've had to do that, you pick up the phone and call a family member, say you got to meet us down at the hospital because something bad happened at work. And these 960 injuries are an indication that we're not doing as good as we could be doing to avoid, what I just referenced. So, how do we fix safety? Again, a long debate. I think what a lot of us in discussions and several folks in this room, you guys have probably been a part of that, had discussions about that, and oftentimes we come back to connecting with folks, right? You know that if they follow the methods, if they keep themselves certainly, out of harm's way with the methods, then it should be pretty easy. Well, I believe that connecting with folks, influencing folks is the most important part of that, because if you've got that connection, then hopefully you're going to put them in a position to where they value it and they understand it. If not, then we get what we get, I think. So those are two things that I think would be good for you. It's not to say that if you're, you just got to be self-reflective on it. Hopefully you see where I'm going with that. I'm not saying that just because the numbers are what they are that we're terrible or anything like that. So just to kind of sum it up and again reinforce, there's a lot that you took out of this class, I hope. There's some that are technical things. There's certain parts of this that you learned that UPS does that you didn't know yesterday. What I hope you absolutely positively take back with you and keep with you is that the most important thing is the connection that you have with people. And that is with the folks that are working with you, your peers, anybody that you come in contact with. If we can influence folks in a positive manner, we absolutely, positively can achieve whatever it is that we set out to do. And I think the other aspect of this, you think about a human nature piece, people want to be a part of something that they feel good about, don't you think? And if we are in a position where we're influencing them, we're setting high standards and we're achieving those standards, and folks are going home being proud of the fact that they work at UPS and that they work with you. Okay? Thank you guys. Congratulations again. And best of luck.
All right, on behalf of the facilitators and myself, you guys are no longer future partners. When you walk out that door, you're gonna be full-fledged partners. So congratulations one more time. That's the end of graduation. Be careful, have a safe night tonight. I'll see you all on the sword. Oh no, you guys don't leave. You gotta stay.
We have to put Sarah's back though. I think Bear's Jared. Okay, so don't
Oh,